All right, Jerry, thank you very much. Here with the coach. And Coach, you guys moved to 2-0, 42-25 victory over a gritty Fresno State team today. But good hot start, got it going. But tough second half. Fresno State really played hard.
They did. I'll give credit to Coach DeRuiter and what he's doing down there. I thought the quarterback played well. Obviously we put our defense in some real difficult situations in the second half, giving them short fields out there, with the fumbles. And we got to clean that up. But I'll give Fresno State credit. It's a good football team.
Well, good start offensively, and we'll talk about the offensive side of the ball. 35 points in the first half, particularly that 98-yard drive towards the end of the first half was really a key to finishing off a pretty good first half for your offense.
It was. We sputtered at times, and hopefully things that are correctable for us. But, we're not going to score on every possession for the entire season. We're going to make mistakes at times, and we did, and that's what we got to do a better job on. We get back to work on Monday.
Yeah, and the second half, obviously, you kind of shot yourself in the foot, really, either whether it was penalties or turnovers. But I thought your defense with those turnovers, Coach, 13 points that Fresno scored off those turnovers, put in some tough positions. You talked about it. They really responded well, though.
They did, and we talk about that response after the turnover is the key thing. Just because offense doesn't do what they're supposed to do and gives the ball to the other team, defense can bail you out. And I thought, when you can hold them when the ball's down the red zone and hold them to a field goal, and I thought our defense really did some real good work for us, especially with a short field. So there are positives you can take out of the second half, but we still need to continue to build. We're still a young team. We're at the second game of the season, and we're learning by every new experience we have. So
a lot of carries by Kenjon Barner today, but he responded. 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Was a workhorse out there, and I think it's easy to look at. Maybe there were some struggles at times on the offense, but in the end of it, you rushed for 366 yards. Some good things happened.
Yeah, he's a special player, and obviously when you jump out to a lead, more when we were in the fourth quarter, we were protecting the lead a little bit and working the clock, and that last drive I think showed a little bit something we can build upon offensively, as a positive in the second half. The third quarter wasn't very positive for us to look at from a film standpoint, but I think that last drive is something to kind of hang our hat on, and then hopefully we can continue to grow from there.
It was tough to, at times, open up a few things because the field position at times was pretty poor. You guys were backed up pretty tight.
Yeah, we got to clean up the penalties and stop putting ourselves in adverse situations. I think a lot of those things, I'll again give credit to Fresno State, but a few of those we contributed to. So
a lot of pressure on Derek Carr, and he responded very well. You talked about how well he played, but nonetheless, you guys put a lot of pressure on him, which was a key to interrupting a lot of the stuff that they had.
We did, and we knew he was the key. We had to stop him. He's certainly very, very talented. I was impressed with him on the field today. Thought he had a lot of poise, and we got after him, and he just kept coming back and coming back. So, again, give him credit. I think he's a real talented quarterback.
And with Burse and Adams on the outside, two very good tests for your corners out there. They're good wide receivers.
They are. Caught the ball extremely well. Good challenge for us. We got good film to coach off of, and we'll get ready to go play next week.
And some special teams things today, too. A lot of coverage that you were able to get, but some kickoff return opportunities that you didn't have in that first game. And again, a lot of things, like you just said, from a film standpoint to look at.
It was. They started to pooch early when DeAnthony was in the game, and we started rotating back there. They started to kick off a little bit. So we got some things to work on. We picked up a penalty in one of our kickoff returns, so we got to do a better job there. But overall, again, for us to get to 2-0, be at this point right now, 1-0 on Saturday night is what we always talk about, and we won this week. We'll come back in, watch the tape as a staff tomorrow, and then our kids are back on Monday, and we're getting ready to play week 3.
Well, in the end, that's what it's all about. 42-25 winners over Fresno State. Coach, 2-0. We'll talk to you next week after Tennessee Tech.
Thanks, Jordy.
All right, Jerry, back up to you.
I have Deion Jordan and Brian Jackson in the other room. We'll go ahead and start here with Rob. Questions for Coach Kelly.
Chip, it seemed like by the end, 3 or 4 of your regulars on the offensive line were on the sideline. To what extent, if any, do you think protection issues were a factor in that third quarter when you were kind of struggling to get going?
You lost me. I'm 0 for 1 right now on the first question.
O-line seemed pretty banged up by the end of the game. To what extent, if any, when you were struggling on offense, were protection issues?
Yeah, everybody plays. Everybody goes, so you get your opportunity to play, you got to capitalize on it so that we don't look at it and say, hey, you didn't start the game, so it's okay to miss a protection or that. But a lot of times when you look at it, when sacks occur, sometimes, it's not always what people think sometimes. It may not just be the line. It could have been, which way we directed it. It could have been the receiver not running the right route, so the quarterback has to hold the ball a little bit longer. So, when we do take a sack, or we do give up a sack, there's a lot more people involved in it than just the offensive line. Some of it's on the quarterback, could have been a hot throw, and that was the guy that was coming clean, and that's his guy. But I got to look at the tape, and we'll look at the tape as a staff. But we certainly have to correct that.
Chip, you had a play on in the second quarter. It was third and 12, and you handed the ball off to D'Anthony, who got a 13-yard gain. What does that mean to have a kid on the team who can, obvious passing down, but you can still make a running call there? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's really got nothing to do with D'Anthony. That was just kind of our game plan going in. We knew that spacing that their defense gave us on long yardage situations, it was probably better for us to run the ball than to throw the ball. He just happened to be the back end at that time. But with both him and Kenjon, we feel like in every situation when we hand it to him that good things are going to happen.
Coach, you guys have been such a great second-half team for so long. Is it at all disconcerting for you that today the ones and twos struggle so much in the second half on offense, especially? No, because we never talk about being a great second-half team. We want to be a great first-quarter team, second-quarter team, third-quarter team, fourth-quarter team, overtime team. I think when you kind of turn it on and turn it off, that's what we need to work on as a group, and that's what I think this group needs to learn as we keep moving. It's not, hey, we got a lead, so now we can kind of kick our feet up. It's you got to bear down a little bit more. But when you have youth like we do in some spots, that's what this deal's all about. But it's a lot easier to make corrections when you win than it is to make corrections when you lose. So. How much of the second half struggles though were Fresno's defense? Because they look like they played very physically. They were flying to the ball.
Did.
They got to Mariota a few times. How much of it was them? How much of it was you guys?
Got to totally look at the tape, Aaron, but it is, and I'll give them credit. I think that Tim does a nice job, and he's always done a nice job schematically, defensively, and it seemed like those guys picked up really quickly on what they were doing. So I will give Fresno State credit, and they should. When there's two teams out there, we have a plan going into every game, but they have a plan too. And that's the fun part of coaching, and to see what they're going to do and how they deploy their guys and how we deploy our guys, and then kind of what works. But I saw some guys out there just watching the game, when you're seeing it from my side, like it's pretty good players, physical on the defensive side of the ball. I thought they kept the ball in front of them. They wouldn't let us get behind them. We tried to take a couple shots, but I thought they covered pretty well. And, eventually I think our athletes, the Kenjons and the D'Anthonys and Marcus, when, they kind of flushed him a few times, I think that's an added dimension for us that you got to really account for him when he's tucking it and running. But we needed all those guys today because that is a good team. And I really tip my hat to those guys.
Coach, Marcus had his first real dilemma today, his first real kind of adversity. Can you talk about how well he responded to that? Because it looked like he came back pretty calm after that first fumble and was able to respond pretty well to that.
Yeah, and it was his first. Obviously, he went 7 for 7 in terms of drives for touchdowns in the first game, and then, didn't have the same success this week. And the one thing about Marcus is I don't think his demeanor changes. I think he's a real focused young man, and that's one of the great things about him is that he's just not going to blow up or lose confidence. And I think you saw that. He got hit a couple times pretty good, but then bounced back up and was always on to the next play. And I think that will bode well for us as we move in the future because we know we're not going to be successful all the time, and you got to be able to handle it. But I thought he did a decent job overall of it.
Chip, you guys lost Josh Huff early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and is there any concern about your receiving core when you look at, especially without him, you guys may not have that deep, big play threat at receiver right now?
When someone goes down, we next guy's in. That's football. At every level, no matter where you are, whether it's the NFL, college, high school, you go. So, if anybody in our team, when you saw Josh go down is like, oh my God, we're in trouble because we don't have Josh anymore. I mean, that's what these guys practice for. That's what we coach for. And we got to go to the next guy in. And that's been our mentality since I've been here. That's why we don't talk about it. Next guy go and let's go. We still didn't change our game plan. So.
I do have Josh Huff and BJ Kelly in the other room. Any other questions for Chip?
Coach, you talked about Marcus a little bit. How was his decision-making process today? It looked like obviously there were some protection issues, but overall, how was his decision-making?
Overall, he was decent. Got to look at the film more to see the particulars, but overall, I thought Marcus did a nice job. Dwight, no tie?
No, sorry, let you down.
I talk about you being the best dressed guy every time.
I am still.
Fentress.
Sad to say.
Fentress went tie today.
My imagination, or were your center snaps a little more erratic today than they have been?
Either me and you got really bad eyesight, or you saw the ball sprayed around a little bit. So I saw the same thing you saw. So
yeah.
we
how
obviously,
much does that impact what the quarterback ends
a little
up doing?
bit. Kenyon made some. We did not have any direct snaps into the tailback today, but that happened. So, we certainly need to talk to him. Sometimes he seems like he gets in a rhythm sometimes, and that happens, and we just need to, we got to coach that a little bit better. But they were off a little bit today, and that can disrupt your timing. So, fortunately, it did not hurt us, catastrophically where the ball's on the ground and something's happening, but it does disrupt the timing of the play. So.
Anybody else? All right.